Have you ever asked yourself, is this all there is to reality? You look around and wonder, is this all there really is to life? Well, this is the desire of the third eye wanting to be awakened. You look around and intuitively know that there is something more behind it all. Let's go back to my senior year in high school.
Welcome to debunkingtheilluminati.org.
Yup, this is me. I was a rather weird kid. I took a lot of time being in my head. I was known as the quiet kid in school. When asked about me, girls usually said, he doesn't say much, and it was true. I usually stayed quiet and was in my head most of the time. I would sometimes even stare off into space, deep in thought, and I was gone. My body was there, but my mind wasn't. Eventually, I started listening to Alan Watts, and I could feel something awaken within me the more I listened.
As the Chinese say, it's the yang and the yin. And therefore it consists of now you see it, now you don't. Here you are, here you aren't, here you aren't. Because that's the very nature of energy, to be like waves, and waves have crests and troughs.
And during the summer after my graduation, I started to look into psychology and philosophy. I picked up some occult books, trying to understand the secrets of the universe. I felt like I was tapping into some forbidden knowledge. Nobody teaches this stuff, I would say. I would be both outraged, but also intrigued by the information. I was locked in, like kids on candy.
Chocolate!
Flash forward to freshman year, I'm in college and I'm studying biomedical engineering. And then one of the most pivotal moments in my life occurred. I met Will. I was a freshman in college, we were both engineers, and we were just sparking up conversation here and there. And one of those days, we were talking about girls, talking about life, and he could tell that I really was into philosophy. So he asked me the question, hey, do you want a trip together? And I knew he wasn't just talking about some regular trip of going sightseeing and watching the birds. He was talking about something else. He was talking about the inner sight. And I knew exactly what he was talking about because I had heard about magic mushrooms for a while, in Joe Rogan podcast.
The mushrooms want you to like them. And so the first time you do it, they're going to welcome you. They're going to be like, oh man, this is what you should be doing.
Heard mention of it through YouTube.
It is so alien, so huge, so complete.
And I was intrigued. I wanted to know what it was like to have a mystical experience. I wanted to answer my philosophical questions. And I also just wanted to see some crazy hallucinations. I thought it'd be dope to experience something like that. I did my research, I looked into it, and I was down. I said, yeah. I just couldn't pass up on the opportunity to finally understand what it is like to have a mystical experience. So the day came, and I took the red pill in form of a mushroom. My mind had expanded past its regular dimensions. My eyes had opened, but I did not know in which direction they were looking, whether in or out. My awareness was just flooded with all kinds of colors, and my mind was transmitting a message. It was speaking to me in metaphors and images, and I was able to understand most of what it was saying. Here, everything I was thinking about just made sense. We are all one. Time is an illusion. I am the universe. All of these things were just a few lessons that I derived from my trip, and my mind never shrunk back to its original dimensions, but I was left wanting more. I needed answers. I needed to know what had just happened to me. And Will was a friend of mine, but he said he could not offer me any more, and the doors to the mysteries of the mushroom world were closed on me. I was left to figure it all out on my own. The rest of my sophomore year, I was wrestling with a lot of philosophical problems. I was basically depressed, and I was wondering whether biomedical engineering was a thing for me. And so I just kept thinking about how this all fit together. How does my psychedelic experience mix in with the stories that I heard growing up about brujas and black magic and even ghosts? I knew that there was a common thread that aligned all of these pieces together, but I just couldn't find it. I was trying to recapture the feeling of clarity that I had during that trip, and I was not going to settle until I did. And then a breakthrough happened, and it was the link between the mystical text I was reading and the experiential knowledge I had gathered from my trip. I was introduced to DMT. Dr. Rick Strassman's clinical studies were the first government-approved studies with hallucinogenic drugs in more than 2 decades. Rick Strassman's book, DMT, The Spirit Molecule, explained that DMT is an endogenous molecule. Our bodies have the capability to send our minds flying. Whoa, this was big. I looked deeper into the pineal gland and was able to link it to the third eye. Months passed as I learned about the third eye, and during this time, I was going through a lot of changes. I had chosen to change my major. I isolated myself from my usual group of friends. I took up dancing classes, started working out more consistently, and even started to heal my depression. I was making choices based on what I thought was right. I was awakening to a new potential self.
So you're not doing it because you want to get something out of it. You're not doing it because you're expecting something. You're doing it just because that's you. Because that's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? it. You keep it 100. You stay 100.
And during that time, I was trying to get in touch with the fantasy world that I thought the third eye would present to me. I wanted to see the entities right here in my face. I wanted to have a vivid imagination, but I realized that that's not really what the third eye was for. I was finally awakening my third eye. I had a heightened sense of intuition. I was a more adept lucid dreamer, and I could read people a lot more easily. But I recognized something much more important. I noticed that there was a bigger shift, and that shift was in my attention. I realized that my attention is no longer on the material objects that we love to glorify, but rather on the immaterial source of all things. And that is a third eye's main purpose, to see past the illusion and into the source of the illusion. All of us are living a life where we pay attention to the projection, but never recognize that it comes from a projector. We are the projector. We are the source. Now, the third eye is super important when it comes to getting deeper levels of perception. But if you really want to dive deep, you gotta dive deep into your shadow. And that's why you should click on this video right above so you can get to know your shadow and turn your negative aspects into gifts.